So Manny is driving us to the port of Miami to catch our ship, Explorer of the Seas, for our transatlantic voyage to Barcelona. We'll be stopping at the Azores, the Portuguese island, Cartagena, Spain, and what's the next one? Oh yes, and Palma de Mallorca, and then we will be disembarking on Barcelona. So, I do the transatlantic. It seems like I do it yearly because I find it's a much better way, and actually, cost-wise, it's better to take this transatlantic cruise to Europe than to fly. What's the difference? Well, usually I'm going on those mega ships like Oasis of the Seas, Anthem of the Seas, Symphony of the Seas. These boats are huge. 5,000 to 6,000 passengers. And they're so big that you're guaranteed not to feel the rock of the ocean, the rocking that goes on. So I was a bit concerned at taking Explorer of the Seas because it's a much smaller boat. It's 3,000 people. But we have to try new things, right? I came with this attitude of new things. And the boat was pretty, and it was intimate, and it was different, but it was a throwback. As I've said before, it reminded me of when I first started cruising. So they have the promenade, but it's not as big as the promenade on Symphony. They have the specialty restaurants, but there's only 3. The casino still smells like smoke, but it's placed in the center of the ship, so that sometimes you do have to go through it. It's not out of the way. Our room is a little smaller, I felt, than on Oasis or on Anthem or on Symphony, but it will do. And the balcony was what really threw me off because it actually looked like a picture window. Or if you had a house and you had an indoor porch, this is how it would feel. But I was loving the difference. Because you know what? Sometimes you got to spice it up. You've got to do something different. And there were a lot of different things that I did on this cruise. Same voyage, different attitude, different things that we were doing. So, for instance, this time I took a balcony facing the ocean. Yes, usually I'm kind of terrified of doing that. I'm like, if there's a storm out there, I don't want to know. And I usually take a balcony room facing the inner courtyard, like facing Central Park or facing Broadwalk. But this time I was just like, the ocean is so soothing and relaxing. Let's just do it. Let's take an ocean view. So I knew that this being a smaller ship, I might feel the rocking because the technology that's used on Symphony and Oasis on Anthem is not the same used on Liberty. I mean, they did a pretty good job of stabilizing it, but it's not as perfected as it is on the bigger ships. So the other different thing is we're leaving the port of Miami. I didn't bother going up to the deck, the upper deck, to say goodbye. I did it from my balcony because I had a view of the port. And it was quite beautiful. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, MBC Lifestyles Diary. My name is Marie. I live in New York and I love fashion, travel, and cultural events, and I'm asking you to join me on the adventure. Today you find me on Explorer of the Seas, another Royal Caribbean ship. This is a smaller ship. The rooms are more intimate. The pace is a lot more mellow, and I'm having a blast. Even the balcony is old school. It's a throwback. Unlike the newer ships like Oasis or Symphony of the Seas. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the difference. So even though it's a smaller ship, it's got all the things you've come to expect from a Royal Caribbean ship. They have the specialty restaurants such as Chop's Grill, Giovanni's Italian Restaurant, Izuki Japanese style food. The dining room, the main dining room looks great, and I'm really enjoying the food on this voyage. They have the slides, the rock climbing wall. They of course have the Palace Theater, and the casino is there. And they have like Studio B, they have schooners, they have the tavern. So all the things and the promenade, but it's a lot more intimate, it's a lot smaller. There's stairways like going from Giovanni down to the casino, so you don't always have to take the elevator. And the nice thing about the ship is it feels very doable because it's smaller, so you feel like you get around quicker. And of course, being on a transatlantic, it's nobody's in a hurry to do too many things because you have time. You can do whatever you want. Oh, and on this ship, it's so old school. They have a library and they have a computer room, which has been eliminated in the other ships because, there's so much activity. So that's about all I can remember to share the difference. If more comes up, I'll let you know. With this ship being so much more intimate, you tend to run into the same people. So you kind of strike up conversations and develop friendships. That was interesting. And this time in the dining room, we did not take like a window seat. Usually that's what we do. We take a window seat. We don't really want to talk to anybody else. And we're in our own little world. But this time we decided to go ahead, sit with other people in close proximity and strike up conversations. And that was pretty great. I met some very interesting people, and some that when we landed in Barcelona, we ended up meeting up for dinner. So that was nice. The other thing is I always used to do room service. I guess that's more isolating of oneself. But this time we actually did room service a couple of days and then got our stuff together and went to the Windjammer. Yeah, remember how I would be resentful of the Windjammer? It's too much work. This time I actually enjoyed it and saw the wide variety. But we did do things like time it super early so it wouldn't be crowded. And we also did have breakfast and lunch in the dining room. So we mixed it up, we spiced it up a bit. We also did some specialty dining. We did Chop's Grill, we did Taste of Royale, and we did our favorite, which was Chef's Table. More on that later. But meanwhile, we went to the pool deck, we explored the ship, we participated in our different games. Yes, we did. We participated in games. Also, on this ship, there's not Bolero, but there was a room called the Star Room. That was a real comfortable place, really nice seating. The band was great, and it was the same group of people that love Latin dancing. So we got to know each other then too. Like I said, the whole vibe of the boat were people that liked that style of cruising and wanted to meet and mingle and socialize. Then the next thing we did is we went to the spa. Now this type of spa, this was an interesting concept. It was called the Couples Retreat. So they put out all these products and kind of give you a quick tutorial on, what you're supposed to use on your face and what you're supposed to use on your body. It was kind of like a steam room. And then you as a couple got to use this space and basically give each other a spa treatment. So you would do the body exfoliating, the body mask. You'd do the same for your face. You'd sit there, you could bring champagne. It was just very relaxing. That was different. And then over here, we're looking at the solarium. which is not as elaborate as on some of the other ships. It's just a place where kids could not go. But this being the type of ship that it was, the time of year of the cruise, there weren't many kids on this boat. And the children that were there had to stay in close proximity to their parents because it was basically toddlers and infants. But it definitely was a whole different group of people. People that liked doing the transatlantic, people that did it frequently, and people that knew the different rooms that were on a different class of ships. So at Chef's Table, we met a couple that specifically chose this ship because they have this room that's on the bow of the ship or facing forward with floor to ceiling windows. So you didn't have a balcony, but you had a spectacular view, I guess the captain's view of the voyage. So I was loving that. This is formal night, and there are 2 formal nights as usual. And the surprising thing is people get into it. So on some of the other ships that I had been on, people acted like it was such an effort to get dressed. But here there were tuxes and gowns, and I was pleasantly surprised. So here we are in the star room with the Latin band. So we had just gotten there, so people weren't yet on the dance floor. But what a great space. And if you recall, boleros, sometimes it was so popular it was a struggle to get in. But the Star Lounge had enough room. So here's my fantastic view. And the interesting thing that happened here is that there's the whale migration. So we could catch sight of whales, which Alex did. And what I loved about this voyage is that the ocean was so calm. I was so grateful for that. And it was stunningly beautiful. And sometimes I was like, was I really on the ocean? This felt like a lake. It felt magical. It was truly a wonder, and I enjoyed it. I don't know how to express the joy I felt of being on this boat, which was funny because it didn't have all the bells and whistles. It didn't have the newness, but I understand why it's still on the fleet because it had its own particular character, and they kept up the traditions. For instance, on formal night, and they had the lobster dinner. Now, recently when I was on Symphony, they had stopped doing the lobster dinner. But here it was on the Explorer of the Seas. And almost every evening they had the staff come out and dance, and they had the chef, they had the waiters, they had the support staff, and people would get all revved up along with them. On this boat, there were not big elaborate shows, but there was good musical talent. So you could always hear good music. They had the piano man at the bar. They had dueling pianos on the stage. They had the Queens That Rock for entertainment. It was just really fun music, and that was enjoyable also. The other thing is that since I was mixing it up, going to the dining room for breakfast or for lunch, I got to have a real variety of food. And the food was good because the last time I cruised, I did not enjoy the food. But this was a pleasant surprise. So I don't know whether it's because I was feeling better, because also the last cruise, I wasn't participating much. I was still in recovery. So I was grateful to, be able to sleep, get up, meet the family for dinner, maybe see a show, and go back and sleep for some more. It was a wonderful recuperation cruise. So this cruise was nice. I was joyful, and I guess that's why I wanted to connect with people. And since I had such a great time traveling with my cousins that time, I was just like, well, let's connect with the people we're on board the ship with. Because the one thing we all obviously have in common is we have time. And because we can take 12 days to get to Europe, we enjoy traveling. And you get on board and you're in a good mood. So that's what we did. we leaned into those feelings. Right here, you're watching me go to Chop's Grill. That's one of my favorite spots. I don't know, they really do make it feel like a high-end steakhouse, and the food is good. It was on point. And in this dining room, we're looking out. That view was spectacular. It was spectacular. It was soothing. I was loving the ocean. I was loving the blue skies. You know, like I said, it was magical. I was calm. And as I suspected, you did feel the ship rocking back and forth. I did have to develop sea legs. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't tremendous, but I did feel a slight rocking. And the thing is, that was nice when you were going to sleep. You were like a baby being gently rocked to sleep. But Chops, as always, does not disappoint. It was delicious. Service was on point, and that's how I came out. So damn happy. Look at that dancing. Spectacular, baby, spectacular. As I said before, I did some different things, and what I did do is befriend 2 other couples on board. This is big. This is big when you are used to, I just need to get away, just me and you, babe, and you kind of isolate. So it's big when suddenly you're befriending people and actually agreeing to meet up for dinner and going to see shows together and just learning about different people's lives and experience. And it's really a great thing. And they give you wonderful ideas. So, for instance, one couple, they take the transatlantic over and they spend 3 months in Barcelona. Barcelona becomes their base. And then they take like these little side trips through Europe. And of course, once you're in Europe, it's so much easier and cheaper to travel. Another couple, they downsized, but they downsized into a coach bus so that they literally go between New York and Virginia, and their house goes with them. And the last thing that I did, which was totally different, I gambled, baby. Viva Las Vegas. And I played my favorite. I played the roulette table. I played the slot machine. I took advice from gamblers. At one point, I was sitting at the roulette table and this guy came and he just started hitting. I just put my chips where he put his chips. And I won. Let's not get crazy. I still lost. Overall, I lost $20. But I enjoyed the thrill. Then, of course, I went to the promenade where they were having an 80s party. And I did something else that I never do. I went to an 80s party and I danced and I sang and I had joy. And if you see the theme here, it's gratitude. It's gratitude, it's joy, it's not taking things for granted, it's enjoying our time connecting to other people. Look at that. If you're enjoying this, please give me a thumbs up and remember to like, subscribe, and share. And I hope you get to go on Explorer of the Seas.